Epstein Files. Epstein Files. Epstein Files. What exactly is it? I know you've been hearing this everywhere, so let's go straight into it. Over the past few weeks, the internet has been flooded with headlines about the Epstein Files. Your social media feed is full of it. News outlets won't stop talking about it. The Epstein Files are over 900 pages of court documents that were sealed for years and just recently made public. These aren't some secret list that got leaked. These are legal documents from a civil lawsuit. Specifically, a lawsuit filed by Virginia Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell back in 2015. That case was settled in 2017, but many of the documents were sealed by the court to protect the privacy of victims and because the information was sensitive. Fast forward to 2023 and 2024, and a judge ordered these documents to be unsealed and released to the public. That's what everyone is talking about. That's the Epstein Files. Now, before we go any further, let's be very clear about who Jeffrey Epstein was, because understanding him is the key to understanding why these files matter. Jeffrey Epstein was a financier, a billionaire, a man who moved in the circles of the rich, the famous, and the powerful. He had connections to politicians, celebrities, scientists, and business moguls. He owned a private island in the Caribbean. He flew people around the world on his private jet. On the surface, he looked like just another wealthy, well-connected man, but beneath that surface was something much darker. In 2008, Epstein was convicted of soliciting prostitution from a minor. He served just 13 months in a county jail under a sweetheart plea deal that has been widely criticized as far too lenient. But that wasn't the end of his story. In July 2019, Epstein was arrested again, this time on federal charges of sex trafficking minors. The allegations were horrific. Multiple women came forward and said that Epstein had sexually abused them when they were teenagers. Some said he had trafficked them to other powerful men. The case was about to explode into one of the biggest scandals in modern history. And then, in August 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his jail cell. The official cause of death was ruled suicide by hanging, but many people questioned that ruling. Conspiracy theories erupted, people wanted answers, and one of the biggest questions was, who else was involved? That brings us back to the Epstein Files. These documents were part of the civil case between Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's accusers, and Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's longtime associate and alleged accomplice. Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested in 2020 and convicted in 2021 on charges related to sex trafficking. She's currently serving a 20-year prison sentence. The lawsuit Giuffre filed against Maxwell contained depositions, witness testimony, emails, flight logs, and other evidence related to Epstein's activities. For years, these documents were kept under seal, but victims' rights groups, journalists, and the public pushed for their release, arguing that transparency was necessary for justice and accountability. Finally, the court agreed. So what's actually in these files? Let's get into the details, because this is where a lot of the confusion and misinformation comes in. First, the files contain testimony from victims, women who say they were abused by Epstein when they were minors. Their accounts are disturbing. They described being recruited, manipulated, and trafficked. Some were as young as 14 or 15 years old. These testimonies are the heart of the files, and they're the reason this case matters so much. This isn't just about scandal or gossip. This is about real people who suffered real harm. Second, the files contain depositions and statements from witnesses and people connected to Epstein. Some of these people were employees who worked for him. Some of them were associates who spent time around him. Some of them were people who flew on his private jet or visited his properties. And yes, some of these names are famous: politicians, celebrities, business leaders, scientists. Their names appear in the documents because they had some level of contact or association with Epstein. But here's the critical point. Being named in these files doesn't mean someone committed a crime. It doesn't mean they knew about Epstein's abuse. It doesn't mean they participated in anything illegal. Context matters. Some people are named because they were on a flight manifest. Some people are named because a victim mentioned seeing them at a party. Some people are named because they did business with Epstein. The files don't prove guilt. They document connections and associations. Third, the files contain communications, emails, messages, and other correspondence that give insight into how Epstein operated, who he was in contact with, and how his network functioned. Some of these communications are mundane. Some of them are more revealing. But again, being part of an email chain or having your name mentioned in a message doesn't automatically mean wrongdoing. The legal system exists to determine guilt or innocence, and these files are pieces of evidence, not verdicts. Fourth, there are flight logs. Epstein owned a private jet that people nicknamed the Lolita Express, a reference to the novel about an older man's obsession with a young girl. The flight logs show who flew on Epstein's plane, when, and where. Some of the names on those logs have surprised people, but flying on someone's private jet, even someone like Epstein, is not a crime. Many of the people on those flights have said they had no knowledge of Epstein's abuse and were simply traveling for business or social reasons. Some of those claims may be true. Some of them may not be. The point is, the flight logs are one piece of a much larger puzzle. Now, let's address the biggest misconception. These files are not a list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. They're not a black book of people who paid for illegal services. They're not proof that everyone named in the documents did something wrong. The media loves to sensationalize this stuff. Headlines scream about shocking names and explosive revelations. Social media runs wild with speculation and accusations. But if you actually read the documents, what you find is a complex legal record that requires careful interpretation. Some of the information is damning. Some of it raises serious questions. And some of it is just names in a document. So why are people so obsessed with these files? Why is everyone talking about them? Because Jeffrey Epstein's case touches on some of the deepest fears and suspicions people have about power and privilege. Here was a man who seemingly operated with impunity. He had money, he had connections, he had influence, and he used all of that to exploit vulnerable young women. When he was finally arrested, people wanted to know, how did he get away with it for so long? Who helped him? Who enabled him? Who knew and did nothing? The Epstein Files are seen as a potential answer to those questions. They're seen as a window into a world of power and secrecy that most people will never access. And in some ways, they are. But they're not a smoking gun. They're a collection of legal documents that paint a picture, but they don't provide all the answers. There's also the question of what happens next. More files may be released in the future. There are still sealed documents related to Epstein's case. Some of those may contain additional names, additional details, additional revelations. Investigations are ongoing. Law enforcement agencies are still looking into Epstein's network and whether others should be charged with crimes. Victims are still seeking justice. Civil lawsuits are still being filed. This story is far from over. But here's what's important to remember as this unfolds. First, the victims, the women who were abused by Epstein, deserve to be heard. They deserve justice. They deserve accountability from everyone who played a role in what happened to them. These files exist because they had the courage to come forward and fight for the truth. Second, facts matter. In the age of social media, it's easy for rumors and speculation to spread faster than the truth. Just because someone's name appears in a document doesn't mean they're guilty of anything. Just because a headline is shocking doesn't mean it's accurate.
We have to be careful. We have to be thoughtful. We have to let the legal process work. And third, power and accountability matter. One of the reasons this case has captivated so many people is because it raises questions about whether the rich and powerful play by the same rules as everyone else. Do they get away with things that ordinary people wouldn't? Do they have access to protections and privileges that shield them from consequences? These are important questions, and the Epstein case forces us to confront them.
So that's what the Epstein Files are. They're court documents. They're testimonies and evidence from a lawsuit. They're a window into the life and network of a man who committed terrible crimes. They're not a simple list. They're not proof of a massive conspiracy. They're complicated, they're disturbing, and they're important. And as more information comes out, we'll continue to learn more about what Jeffrey Epstein did, who was around him, and how justice can be served for the people he hurt. What do you think? Do these files change your understanding of the case? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more true crime breakdowns that cut through the noise and give you the facts, subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll see you in the next one.